Chers auditeurs,
Dear listeners,
bonjour.
welcome in comdarchipodcast Season 4
Saison 4, dans le monde fascinant des architectes.
and in the architectural projects.
Je suis Anne-Charlotte Deponte, passionnée d'architecture et docteur des universités en histoire de l'archi.
I am one of the spokespersons of Anne-Charlotte, who is a PhD in architecture history.
Merci
Thank you
d'être avec moi aujourd'hui.
to be with us today.
Et
And
maintenant,
now,
lundi en français, place au talent.
and Wednesday, let's talk projects. In English, of course.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Dear listeners, good morning. This is Esther on behalf of Anne-Charlotte. It's good to meet you again in Season 4 of Comme d'Archi episode 71 on the topic of the competition Europan 17. For the first time, Ruben Madar, architect, newly in charge of promotion, talks to Comme d'Archi alongside Isabelle Moulin, General Secretary of the Europan France competition. As a reminder, Europan is a French-initiated urban planning and architecture competition that shakes things up and brings new ideas to the table. It has become a tool for European cities and urban players to find and develop innovative strategies for their changing sites. On Friday, watch the rebroadcast of Comme d'Archi on Europan 16, including Isabelle's story and the history of the competition. Ruben, a newcomer to the organization, says it's been exciting for him to visit the sites, see how the competition is prepared, and attend the site orientation seminars. In the coming month, he will do his utmost to continue documenting the sites. As some of you already know, the theme for 2023 is Reimagining Architectures by Caring for Inhabited Milieus, following on from Europan 16, Living Cities 2. This year, 52 sites are proposed across Europe, including 10 in France. These are the ones we're going to talk about. It's worth pointing out that the projects are due on July 30, 2023 at 11:59 p.m. Paris time. François Leclerc, who has played an important role in the history of this competition and whom we have interviewed on several occasions in Comme d'Archi, architect and urban planner, is president of the Paris jury for the session. On the Grenoble site, which covers an area of almost 10 hectares, 9.8 to be exact, we have to let the birds sing and consider public space as a space for biodiversity, just as in Guérande on an area of 77.5 hectares. From the mountains to the seaside, the Le Palais project in Belle-Île-en-Mer of the Gulf of Morbihan covers 17.43 square kilometers and raises all the issues of an island location. Higher up in the metropolis of Rouen, 180 hectares make birds sing in their relationship with the Seine, while in Marseille, on 3 times 25 hectares along the Égalade stream, 3 different situations of cleavage and rupture tend to be elucidated. While the birds sing, second lives are imagined in the transformation of neighborhoods and buildings into inclusive environments. In Florence in the Gers, 4 hectares and the Bastide. In Nantes in the heart of the city, 18.4 hectares and the hospital. In Rennes, on the edge of town in contact with the Blosne district, a green belt. In Bernay in Normandy, scattered hectares and their industrial and residential derelictions. And finally, in Courcy, in the Greater Reims area, 65 hectares and the 112 airbase. Here, it's not just the architecture of buildings, but also the architecture of ideas and the architecture of living environments. How do we live together? In the 19th and 20th centuries, we produced an enormous amount for better or for worse. We realized that abstracting ourselves from the living has endangered many things. Today's utopia of doing things differently needs to be made concrete. Heat, the disappearance of living things, imbalances, these are all human actions. It also means building our living spaces and living together. We can talk about it through very real situations reported by communities. The theme echoes the idea of urban metabolism. The stock is fairly fixed, so we're going to be looking more at flows, animals, vegetation cycles, and temporalities. 10 sites, representative of the varied French landscape. It's a lot, but it's been broadened to give all types of local authorities a chance to express themselves. Europan 17 is made up of 4 small towns, 5 metropolises, and 1 medium-sized town. Metropolises don't come to Europan by chance. In Nantes, the question is how to give back to the city this hotel you're building, this huge, complex, fairly new machine protected at the 20th century heritage site that bears the history of healthcare, omerta in the city, reopening up to the landscape and nature. Had to deal with the high basement levels. After the competition, there will be consultation and discussion, enabling us to think about the short and long term. It's a project process. Some of the teams will express their views on the method. In Marseille, for the first time, the city, the Métropole and Euro-Méditerranée will be sitting around the table. The starting point is the Égalade stream, a living substance that we can't see. This situation gives rise to juxtaposed projects, interfaces, links to be recreated, obstacles. In Marseille, it's a kind of octopus. On a different scale, in Fleurance, the agricultural wasteland poses the same question. How can we transform this site to open up to the city while serving it at the same time? In Rouen, the site follows the Seine, pursuing a vision of the river returned to the metropolis. Looking at places where we're back in touch with nature and living things. How can we reconnect with the river in inhabited areas, rediscover these paths? In Reims, we are far from Champagne, closer to the history of aviation. It's a private site, part of the former airbase, all the buildings that house the military, buildings in very good condition, empty and unused. The entire site has been reclaimed by vegetation, barns, willows, worthy of a former East German atmosphere. The idea is to create an experimental place, a micro-city made of experiments, agriculture, research. They need a project but also a vision. We're 10 kilometers from Reims. Mobility is an essential issue here. Multiscalary is essential. The Palace at Belle-Île-en-Mer is incredible. 5,500 inhabitants in winter, up to 35,000 in summer. The subject raises the question of resources, but also the question of submergence. How do we deal with it? We need to work together, say the candidates about this subject. In Bernay, the CAE de l'Eure was a great help. For the 4 proposed sites, a global approach is expected, but it's up to each candidate to find his or her own method. It's the story of deindustrialization, and you don't have to fill everything in. Empty space counts. Grenoble is proposing the site of the Grand Parc des Boucles de l'Isère, the boundaries of which are not precisely defined. The area under consideration is very large and includes a converted farm. Slovenia joins Europan for the first time in 2023, while Holland has returned. There's a revival and a revival of registration. All submitted projects are made available to the experts prior to the jury. The jury period lasts 4 months. The city of Vienna will host the debates, where the projects will be examined on a European scale by the Scientific Council. The results will be announced on December 5, 2023. Applicants are advised never to post their project on social networks before the jury's results. For those of you over the age of 50, don't hesitate to apply to become an expert. Just keep an eye out for the announcements. We wish all applicants inspiration and good luck. Dear listeners, thank you for tuning in. Let's meet again next week for a new comdarchi in English. And until then, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Thanks to Julien Rebours, sound engineer, who is collaborating with us today. Don't forget to tune in to our previews on Instagram at comdarchipodcast. If you enjoy this podcast, don't hesitate to promote it by giving it 5 stars and a little comment on Apple Podcast or on your favorite podcast platform. And above all, subscribe to listen to all of our episodes for free. See you soon, and until then, take care of yourself.